everyone. Welcome back to the channel, Retire Abroad Finance. My name is Martha, and today I'm sharing something a little more personal, and that's how I'm hedging against a possible down market as I'm beginning my retirement. Um, and it's coming in 9 days. The end of August, I will be retired. I've spent years planning for this moment, and I'm not going to leave our new lifestyle up to chance. This is our dream to travel the world. So, from building a large cash cushion to prepaying travel for the next 2 years, I'm taking steps now while I'm still employed to keep us secure and so that we can keep exploring the world, our dream, no matter what the economy is going to do. So, if you're thinking about retirement or you just want to protect your freedom in uncertain times, this video is for you. So, as I begin retirement, I'm not just watching the markets, I'm building a buffer against uncertainty. So, here's how I'm protecting my lifestyle and I am preserving our peace of mind, even if the economy does take a hit. So, first is our financial hedging strategy. So, I have been the last many months now making us a large cushion. My goal is to have a year and a half worth of cash in our accounts, and that includes the emergency savings plus our cash cushion. Um, and that's going to provide for us if the dividends don't come in or if we have an unexpected cost, that we weren't counting on. That's what unexpected means. Um, but right now, all that cash is sitting and it's making about 4% interest. And that's between the cash management account at Fidelity and then the account at Schwab. We also have CDs and bonds, and right now those are earning between 4 and 4.6%. So, um, I'll go into the buckets a little bit more, but the way I have us set up, we're getting dividend income monthly, but just in case we don't get enough, and I have that dividend income set to far more than our budget, but just in case we can pull from that cash. And of course, any excess dividend money that comes in goes into the cushion to build it up further. I'm also limiting any new market exposure. I'm being very, very deliberate on where I invest any new money. Um, so I'm looking primarily at uh, increasing income generation, or I was the last few months. But the last probably month and a half, I have been really looking at conservative moves. So I've been maybe shifting some funds around to move them into the more conservative realm, meaning index funds or sector funds or companies that are very, very tried and true, not volatile at all. They're staples and they do well in a downturn. That's what I've been looking at for my investments the last several months. Once I had the dividend um, account set up to be able to be paying us, now I'm looking at what else I can do. So I'm not chasing returns at this point. I'm back to staying slow and steady and just being very, very careful in what I do invest in. And of course, the exception to this is the small amount of money that I've started playing with. And I do have videos about that if you're interested in what I'm doing. But it truly, to me, I'm playing, I'm having fun. And if I make money doing that, that's great. That amount of money that I make goes into the cushion as well. It doesn't get added to my little play account, it goes into the cushion. So I have a video on this, how we're funding our 7-year gap. Um, if you are not aware, when I retire, I will be 59. My husband is 60. Actually, I won't yet be 59. I'll be 58, almost 59. My husband is 62, and he could take Social Security now if he wanted to, but our strategy shows that it's best at this point, at this specific point in time, according to Bolden, our strategy shows that it's best if we wait until he is 70 to collect, and then I could start collecting sometime between, I think, 68 and 70. Um, so we have a 7-year gap there that we need to fund. So I do have a video on how we're planning on doing that, and I will be using the three bucket strategy. Oh, and I've linked that video above. So for bucket one, which is years 1 through 4, that's where we have our immediate cash that we would need. And that's any dividend money that comes in, it gets all added into that cushion, not including the emergency fund, of course. But the high yield savings accounts, cash management accounts, any CDs, that's all meant for years 1 through 4. And as I said, it's being replenished monthly by the dividend ETFs and stocks. But as of right now, I have over a half a year's worth of money. And I'll be adding a lot to that actually next week after my final paycheck. For bucket two, which is years 5 through 7, that's primarily index funds. Um, I am making a slight assumption that there should be some money left from the dividend funds from years 1 through 4. But regardless, we do have a second budget bucket for years 5 through 7. And then our third year bucket, which is the rest of our lives, that's retirement accounts, traditional and Roth. And then, of course, whatever's left from buckets 1 and 2. Now, at any point in time during this bucket strategy, we can start taking Social Security. So, with our costs being very low, with our travel lifestyle, it's called slow travel. Our budget is set by us to $4,000 a month, which is very, very, very doable in so many countries. And we have tested this to show that it is. We did a month in Thailand. It cost us, I think, 2,600, and that was with double booking accommodations for 9 out of 30 days and taking multiple trips. Um, it also bore out with what our cost was for 5 days in Spain. Per day, we could easily be under the 4,000. So we know that it's doable. We know this. So, even if we can't, um, if we had to start collecting Social Security, we would be able to live off of that. Um, so that's what I'm talking about when I talk about redundancy in my videos is if we had to start, we could start and we could live someplace where it's very inexpensive. So how are we locking in value now to be able to hedge against a down market? Well, first of all, we're prepaying flights and accommodations for 2025 and 2026 while I have an income. So, first of all, it shields us from, inflation costs. Um, the dollar is still pretty strong. So it's also shielding us against currency fluctuations that may come in the future, if we do have a down market. Um, I've also locked in early booking perks. I've participated in, the buy one, get one purchase of points at IHG, which is huge, and can help us, defray costs. It's prepaying for your hotels for half the price. Um, I've taken advantage of any shareholder benefits I may get, for cruises and things, and also any cabin upgrades. I found a few cruises where either the upgrade was the same price as the cabin I was going to get, or it was very, very small upcharge because I was taking advantage of early booking. So, I've done all those things, and we're taking 5 cruises in. I think it's five. One, two, three, four, five. 5 cruises in 2026. It's going to be a big cruise year. I'm very excited for it. And those are going to be paid for, and I've found some really good values there. So let's take a look at 2025, and I'll show you what I mean. All the fields that are in green, those are fully paid. Those are already paid. All those flights, all the accommodations. If it's yellow, it's partially paid. And then if it's not colored at all, if it's white, it means that either the hotel is requiring that we pay on site. That happens. um, or it may be something like a bus ticket where, I'm not going to book it until it's closer to the date so I can be sure that the schedule is correct. Um, or there's a couple of Agoda bookings there that will go through shortly before the stay. So that gives us the ability to cancel if we had to pivot. And looking at 2026, I've already started for 2026. I've prepaid Airbnb. I've started to partial pay on the cruises. So, as I plan out my year and as I know where I'm going to be, I'm starting to prepay for those items. And I have a lot of points built up between Amex, between ISG, Chase Rewards. I have a lot of points. So I've already paid for some things in points, some of the accommodations. I've paid for some of the flights with points, and I still have more left over to continue to find those points deals for the longer trips. So, that's how I'm working to lock in our value right now, um, you know, in anticipation of a possible downswing in the market. So let's talk about specifically what I have prepaid. I have prepaid flights until March 2026. All of the cruises for 2026, they're going to be paid for by the end of October this year. Our accommodations, as of now, half of them are fully paid. I have prepaid our medical insurance, our global medical insurance for 1 year. I'll do a video on that soon. How and why I got the policy I got, but it was an amazing deal. So I'll talk about that in a future video. um, Various subscriptions that we have: Kindle Unlimited, financial software, TV viewing. I have prepaid those for the year. You can prepay Kindle Unlimited for a year. It's a bit of a workaround. Since they don't offer that as an option, you have to basically gift yourself a subscription for a year. So that's what I did. And when I log into my Kindle now, I can see that I'm paid well into 2026. So what do I still have left to pay? Well, I still have to pay for groceries. That's obvious. Entertainment or eating out, which, eating out for us really is our entertainment. Um, because we I guess you could call us foodies. We really enjoy trying the new and different foods all over the world. That is in our entertainment. So we still have to, of course, pay for that when we go. Any local transportation, if we need to buy bus passes or get Ubers. Um, some of the excursions actually I have paid for, but when we get there and we decide we want to go ahead and do a day trip out to a neighboring town or anything like that, we'll have to pay for that. My phone bill is still going to be charged to us monthly along with the eSIMs. um, and there's going to be miscellaneous costs that are going to crop up. Maybe we want to get a dental cleaning, or maybe we need to buy socks or get another sweater or something like that. Those costs are going to come up, but that's a fraction. Your highest costs each month when you have a slow travel lifestyle, your highest costs are the transportation to get to the location and your accommodations. Those are your highest costs, and those are going to be prepaid. So it leaves me with less than half of what I need to pay for still each month. And what that means is that as the dividend money comes in each month, that allows me to continue to pay it forward. I can continue to prepay for the years ahead, and especially as we figure out, what do we want to do for the fall of 2026? Where do we want to be? I can go ahead and book those things, and I can prepay, and I can continue to see savings in that way. So I'm locking in value. You know, to us, because of our slow travel retirement, travel isn't for leisure. It's it's how we're going to be living. It's my lifestyle. So I need to have a strategy for this lifestyle. If you weren't traveling, if you were staying at home and retiring in your present home, you would also need to have a strategy. You would need to have a budget. You would need to know where your income is coming from. You would need to have you know, your retirement planning so that you have your insurance taken care of. You have those one-time costs like a new car or a new roof or any renovations that your house may need. You have to have those accounted for. That's all part of your lifestyle strategy. Well, traveling for me, that's our lifestyle strategy because that's how we're going to be living. So for us, prepaying the biggest expenses, it means that we're going to have fewer surprises and we're going to be more in control over our retirement budget overall. We are, we're only going to be left with discretionary spending, is what that means. Exactly how much we're going to spend in groceries, that's pretty much discretionary. If you go to a location and you want to have steak and the price of steak is too high, well, then you don't have steak. You have chicken instead, or you have pork, or you have fish. Whatever is of value in that location that you're in, that's what you have. So it is discretionary. If it's very expensive to go out to eat in that location, then you don't go out to eat as much. If it's very, very inexpensive, like Thailand was, then your groceries are probably going to be less because it costs less for you to go out and have a local meal than it does for you to cook at home. So those are all discretionary items. So why does this matter? In a downturn, or let's say the R word, a recession, because it's always possible, right? We've had a long upswing without a recession. So it's always possible that that recession could come. The economy is cyclical. So in a recession, your discretionary spending is often what gets cut. Okay. As I said, I have the ability to work on our discretionary spending. It's under my control. It's those, items like flights and accommodations, your mortgage, that's what you can't cut. So I've already secured that. So that is taken care of. Now, I'm not relying on the market to fund my next adventure. Okay. I've built a system with my dividend payouts that are approximately 150 to 175% by average of what we actually have as our budget amount, which also our budget amount has cushion built in. So I've got cushion on so many different levels. I'm not relying on that market. Um, I saw a really good talk the other day that, dividend stocks very often are the most resilient of stocks in the stock market. And the reason for this is that hedge fund managers do use the stronger and the dividend aristocracy or kings. They use them to be able to build up their hedge funds and provide income for their clients. Um, their investment clients, their stakeholders. And so they tend to prop those stocks up a little bit more than maybe they would, something that's doesn't really pay any dividends. So, by doing that, I'm not relying as much on the market to fund my next adventure. I will have income coming in, but I've built a system that supports us. It I've built in redundancy, and as I said, if the absolute worst came to worst and we were in another .com situation where it was, 10 years to recover, we can start taking Social Security early. We can start doing that. And we can start, um, planning our travel around those countries that are more economical. So maybe we don't spend as much time in higher cost areas. Maybe we don't take as many cruises, but we spend more time in Southeast Asia, which can be extremely economical if you are willing to live more like a local, which we are. So by hedging my finances and by prepaying, it's not just about finance. It's actually about protecting the freedom that we want to have for our travel lifestyle, for our retire early lifestyle. Um, I'm talking about traveling, but I'm also referring to, you know, those of you who want to retire early and, retire in place, retire in your present home. If you hedge your finances by providing, multiple streams of income, by providing these huge cushions, by, you know, prepaying as much as you can into, your biggest expenses, um, what you're doing is you're protecting your freedom. You're protecting your freedom to live the dream retirement that you've set up. So whether or not the market dips, I am ready to live this dream that we have to the fullest. I'm ready to travel smartly and carefully, and I'm going to sleep well at night, knowing that I have this cushion and that I have a plan A, and I have a plan B, and I have a plan C. I'm going to sleep well at night. So this is how we keep our travel dream alive, is we have these contingencies set up. We have these different plans set up. Um, so we can just go forward and we can just enjoy our life. We can enjoy our retirement. We've worked hard for this. We've planned hard for this. So, I just want to thank you for watching. Um, if this strategy resonates with you or it sparks any ideas for your own retirement planning, please put it in the comments below. I would love to hear how other people are preparing for the retirement road ahead. So I will have a new channel coming soon that will have all the travel content. It's called Retire Abroad Travel. I will have a link below. I am getting ready to start releasing videos there, and that will consist of our adventures, really, all of our trips, the really cool sites that we get to see. I'll be sharing, museums as much as I'm able, UNESCO travel sites, um, all the places that make each new country special. That's what I'm going to be traveling or sharing, excuse me, as well as how much it costs to be there. So if you want more content on travel gear, financial planning, or living independently in retirement, please be sure to subscribe and share and hit that bell so that you don't miss a thing. Please like the video. Until next time, please stay curious, stay prepared, and keep living fully. God bless.